Good evening. City of Somerton City Council meeting, Tuesday, October 15th. Welcome. If you could please rise for the pledge. Today we're joined by the TDS Students of the Month. If you guys want to step up. Ready? Whenever you're ready.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you guys. We have a little, we have some certificates.
Hold on, I'm going to take a picture with Mark.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Okay.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Marta Garcia.
Present.
Councilman Miguel Villalpando.
Present.
Councilman Carlos Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Luis Galindo.
Present.
Councilman Juan Castillo.
Present.
Mayor Clara Bonaya.
Mayor has to be excused.
And Councilman Jesus Rogan.
Mr. Rogan has to be
Vice Mayor, you have a floor.
Thank you. Call to the public. We did have one, but I think they decided not to. Anybody else call to the public? We should speak. Okay, consent agenda. Minutes for work session of September 19, 2019. Minutes for regular council meeting of September 17, 2019. Check register for the month of September. Request to approve inmate work contract for labor services between the City of Somerton and the Arizona Department of Corrections. And request to approve the public involvement plan as a part of the 2020 general plan update. Anybody have any questions? Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
A motion by Councilman Carlos Gonzalez and a second by Councilman Galindo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to old business. Discussion and possible action to adopt guidelines regulating financial and in-kind donations. Mr. McGee.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. The City Council has requested guidelines related to responding to requests for public funds and in-kind services in support of events, programs, and services. The following guidelines that are in your packet were reviewed at the last meeting on October 1st and are brought before you tonight with the change requested by Council, which was to require any organization who does not hold their own 501c3 designation to appeal to the Council for in-kind support. So that is the only change, and the recommended action is to approve the guidelines as presented.
Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, to adopt the guidance regulating financial and in-kind donations.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Gonzalez and a second by Councilman Castillo. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, discussion and possible approval of sponsorship or support for the Chicanos por la Causa Farm to School Taste, Teach, Connect event.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, at the October 1st council meeting, Josie Mercado Chavez, the nutrition coordinator for Chicanos por la Causa, gave a presentation about the Farm to School program and an upcoming event to benefit that program. CPLC, Chicanos por la Causa, is asking for $1,000. I've asked them to complete the new request for funding form, which is in your packet, and also provide relevant tax documentation noting the organization's 501c3 status. They have asked for $1,000. I should note that while $1,000 is available in the mayor and council budget, in the public relation and other services items, it's pretty slim pickings in there, and perhaps a donation of $500 would be more appropriate.
Questions?
Vice Mayor, if I may. I'm more comfortable with a $500 donation, especially since this was not a budgeted item. And they came to us at the last minute.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to donate the $500 as recommended by the city manager. Second.
The motion by Councilman Villalpando for the $500 and a second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to new business, presentation by the Yuma County Water User Association on the process to convert irrigation water use to domestic water use.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of council. The city has received several calls from concerned property owners with current balances owed to the Yuma County Water Users Association for irrigation water use rights that were never converted to domestic water use. In many cases, these balances are in the thousands of dollars. In an effort to assist these property owners in understanding this conversion process, city staff has met with the Yuma County Water Users Association staff and invited them to present and explain the council and city residents the process to do this water rights conversion. I would like to introduce Tammy Stover and Pamela Clark from the Yuma County Water Users Association. They have a short presentation to help us understand this process. Here.
Hello, I'm Tammy Stover, and this is Pam Clark. I've given some information regarding the water users, but a little history with the water users and how water right assessments came about, and how people now, a lot of people that don't receive irrigation water are still assessed those assessments, and how the conversion contract came about, and what the benefits are for the landowners and for the city of Somerton. The Yuma County Water Users came into being in 1903, a year after the Reclamation Act of 1902. The Valley landowners organized and incorporated the Yuma County Water Users Association, a private nonprofit organization, so they could collect the funds to pay back the government for building the irrigation project in the valley, and also for the ongoing operation maintenance charges. Every water landowner that received a water right is obligated to pay an annual assessment forevermore as long as there's a project. Now, over the years, development has occurred, and a lot of the property has been built into homes. Those homes don't have access to irrigation water anymore because the property owner, the developer, did not provide for access to the irrigation water. But just like other property taxes for schools or for libraries or anything, it's the tax base that keeps the system going. And so a problem that has arisen is because the system is so old that before it was incorporated before statehood, that we billed the property owners directly and not through their property taxes like other districts do. Say if you're almost anywhere in the Yuma area, if you're on the Mesa or Gila or Belton, you are in a irrigation district, and you are billed through your property taxes. So the people that don't get irrigation water and they get this assessment billing. They just, have a hard time understanding why they have to pay that. And it makes it harder when you see that bill in front of you, just, pay it, it just, accumulates. So to help relieve that situation and to retain the water in the Yuma area, because it's very valuable water, it's the most valuable water in all of the Colorado River, as the oldest water rights of the system, and they're wanted a lot by the Phoenix area. We developed a contract between the cities of Yuma, Somerton, and San Luis, and the Bureau of Reclamation and Yuma County water users. And what these conversion contracts allow for is a person to irrevocably elect to convert the use of their water from irrigation use to domestic use. And wherever the land resides, excuse me, that city has to accept that conversion contract. And the city from that point on will be entitled or is required to pay for the assessments of all the future assessments. It is at the time of the conversion contract, it is the responsibility of the landowner to make the assessments current. And then the city of Somerton would assume the use of that water along with paying for the assessments. Now the benefit, obviously, for the landowner, they don't have to pay assessments anymore. It stops assessment charges on there for them to pay. The assessments stay with the property. The city of Somerton has the full use range of use for this water. Right now, Somerton has accumulated up to right now 3,550 acre feet of water per year that is available for Somerton to use for any use you want. It can be for, I think in 2003 when the contract was signed by Somerton, the main issue or request for what they're looking for is for the water domestic service, water service supply, either for new development or for a backup of water for Somerton. But it could be used for industry, any use the city of Somerton wants, and and the contract allows for that use for any means you'd like. So it helps the landowner, it helps the city for having a secured water supply, and it helps the whole Yuma area by retaining the water in the Yuma area. And Pam has more information regarding the actual process of doing the conversion.
You have a question?
Next question. Before you move on to the point, I mean, there's nothing new. What you just told us, we know. I mean, I've been hearing about this for the last 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay the water, you're using it. And most people in the community, and I'm telling you because my family is one of them. My mom never paid any water since 1972.
Right.
So guess what? She has a $10,000 bill right now. I didn't even know about it until about 3-4 years ago. I said, Mom, why haven't you? I said, why am I gonna pay? I don't even use it. And that is our part of our culture. And yeah, it is a good program, and we can switch back to the city, have the city rights and apply for it, but you have to pay the balance. And that's one of the things that people are not aware. They just, we can do it, but once you get there and fill out your application, you have to have a zero balance here in the city. You have to have a zero balance with Yuma County Water Users to be able to qualify for this. Isn't that true?
To do the, you don't have to have a zero balance yourself. You can, and it's in the Somerton contract that the city of Somerton is obligated to pay the rearage lien for any person that wants to convert the property. And then it becomes a personal lien between the city of Somerton and the landowner. And then that process can be completed, the contract can be executed. But then it's between the city of Somerton and the landowner on how to repay that.
So just to understand what's going on, the new subdivisions don't have this problem because the developer goes in and now does a conversion et cetera, et
Prior,
cetera.
right.
Yes, and that's
The-
Yuma
the-
County,
The problem
Somerton, or
are the
San Luis.
old parts of town where we didn't require developers back 20, 30 years ago to go through a conversion, and these people in these old part of town are getting this assessment, no different than assessment for the school tax or the AWC tax that we all pay. But in this case, it's a water user assessment that everybody pays because we live in the district. And our district is what, Tammy?
It's from
Anything below the Mesa?
the bridge that goes to California on First Street and Fourth Avenue. From that point, then along the edge of the Mesa, down to San Luis, and on the west side of the river on the levee. down to San
Anything below
Luis.
the Mesa, basically.
So it's Yuma, Somerton, San Luis.
And I understand that, I disagree with, it's an assessment that has to be based like property taxes.
It is, yes.
And I personally went and tried to, I don't know who I talked to, there was about 5 years ago, try to solve the problem, and I was told, you know what, tell your mom to give $50 a month. That's not even paying for her, a monthly or yearly fee for the, what do you call it?
For the interest on it? Or-
Interest, I'm sorry, yeah. So mom said, well, I'm just gonna leave it as is. But again, and I know there's a lot of people here in this community, that I know of, that have the same issues, but to be able to convert it to, we have to, and I understand that the developers say, it's not in irrigation. Where we used to have it like 20, 30 years ago.
There is, the bills, we do charge, the interest is simple interest, which is helpful as far as it's not compounded like a credit card or something, so. And if the city of Somerton, when a conversion does have a balance owing at the time it's converted, and the Somerton pays that balance, that they are obligated to charge no more than we do as far as simple interest on the back tax, the back owing on.
So we have you did mention that we have over 3,000 square feet, right?
3,550 acre feet of water available per year. And, to visualize, an acre foot is the size of a football field, 90 yards of a football field, 1 foot deep of water. And so 3,555 of those, that's a lot of water.
On a yearly basis, how much does Somerton actually use?
You use none.
None? So.
And so in this contract, there are identified 3 points of access that at the time was felt to be the most logical places for Somerton when they did want to use it to access it. One is on the East Main Canal at Highway 95, County 16th, and the other 2 on the Central Canal, one's at County 15th and one at County 16th. And so the East Main Canal carries the most water, and it would be, has the most flow in it, would be, but the city of Somerton would be obligated to provide the infrastructure and whatever you want to do with it.
So
But it is very good for the future development of Somerton.
Yeah, so, but is it possible, since right now we're not using any of it, to sell it to somebody else?
No, it has to stay
I was
within
afraid you
your,
were gonna say that.
it has to stay within your water service area, which is from
Yeah,
south of County 14th, north of County 19th, and east of
but, yeah, I was trying to
H.
figure out a way in how
Yeah.
Somerton can help out those older residents by possibly selling it on a yearly basis to somebody like in LA or San Diego that might need it, Phoenix.
Well,
But I don't want to lose the rights. to
yeah,
that,
that's
so-
it. They would love to, we've
Oh,
been,
they would.
they would love to take our waterway and to dry up the Yuma Valley, but
Yeah,
we're
I
not
just
gonna let
kind
that
of
happen.
figured since that, you guys are the expert on that, so I figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
So I guess people would be stuck with the $10,000 bills because it'd be difficult for the city to take that.
Yeah, last tally in August of just the subdivisions, not including individual lands that possibly have acreage and might owe us, there was about $523,000 owing in back assessments of landowners. Now granted, a lot of your landowners aren't getting those bills. We can't get good addresses.
We have the tax assessor's roll that we can go to. We get the original from the original deed that they tell us what address to send the bill to. We keep all our returned mail, but then again, I have a sample of the bill was never returned for 4 years in a row. The county assessor had continued to have the same address. The gentleman finally came in, of course, had the usual questions, why am I paying this, so forth. He was advised, you could make payments, start making payments or whatever. Now, 6 years more have gone by, we've never heard from him again, and no payment's been made. So unfortunately, that's what seems to happen. Now, when we send out our bills twice a year, we send a conversion request form with both bills, that they can get information, they can call. If they come into the office, don't speak Spanish. We have Tammy that speaks pretty good Spanish, and we have Spanish speaking throughout, and we'll always find someone to speak to them if they don't want to talk to me. But what'll happen is I will even circle Jessica's name in Somerton that's handling the conversions on your end. And we advise them, go talk to her, get some information from her, because sometimes they don't really think we're, being on the up and up and telling them everything. So we suggest they go down there and talk to them. Now, back a few years ago, what did I say this was, 2017? Mm-hmm. When City of Somerton came up with this flyer, because we only send ours out in English, okay, our conversion information request. This was a thing that they put it in Spanish and English. And it says, by converting your water, you can be relieved of your future bills to Yuma County water users by converting to the City of Somerton. And it's in Spanish and English, tells them step by step with little pictures what they would need to do it. I don't know if it was ever implemented. I don't know. What we were told is it was going to be sent with their city water bills. So they would, I don't know if that helps landowners understand or get to us to try and help them get this down. It's, where our hands are tied. Now, occasionally throughout the years, we've also had access to a spreadsheet of City of Somerton water addresses for the address. We didn't, we'd just say, here's the physical address of this property. Can you give us a mailing address? But unfortunately now it's been denied and said that that's not something that you can release to us. It did help us a lot get to more landowners and get more updated bills. I will tell you, case of your mother, if you were to come in, we keep all returned mail from, I've been there 35 years. We have mail. If we have proof that that person never received their bill, or if it's a typographical error on our part, we will give that person 90 days to pay their base amount with no interest. That is the only time we waive interest though. Because even our farmers on our board members, if they're late, I send them a bill for interest.
Caesar should have been here. Could have get this information out. That's right. Newspaper. That's right.
Can you just go do like a lottery every year and just?
Yeah,
Well, we thank you for the information.
Okay. And if you have any more specific questions, please let us know and
Yeah.
email us or call us anytime.
You mentioned that they can sell within, within the service area.
Excuse me?
You did mention that they can sell within the service area,
Mm.
or no, did I misunderstand?
The city, the city selling.
The,
Let's say I have a bill and I haven't paid it, for example, the same thing, $10,000, and there's a farmland next to me and I sell to.
oh, they can't, you can't share, or they can't take your water and pay for it, no. It's appurtenant, the water right is appurtenant to the ground. And so whoever owns the property owns that assessment. And sometimes this happens that people come in, they say, well, I'll never be able to afford this, so I'm just letting my kids there to get my property so they'll get the bill. And I'm gonna let them worry about it.
And that,
That's your.
and then we get people that buy foreclosures and come in and say, well, I didn't own this property when this bill incurred. Well, I'm sorry, you're the new owner and you took it over all taxes owing, and unfortunately they owe. Or you sell your home and you don't realize that this money's owing until they do a title search, and then they take that out of your
proceeds of the
proceeds here,
settlement.
yeah.
I have a question, sorry.
Yes, okay.
If someone were to buy, a private investor needed water, were to find out all those houses, all those properties that have water rights, could they purchase those water rights? And if they did, if they were dated back, let's say they had to pay for 15 years, do they get all those acre feet that come with those 15 years?
No, but I would say if a private person, say, the water that maybe the city of Somerton had already converted to the city of Somerton, you could make whatever deals you want with anybody that wants to use the water, as long as it stays within this water service area.
So, Vice Mayor and Council should be aware that currently we are paying an annual amount from our city coffers for water rights, which we don't do. So Carmen, how much is the bill for?
Close to $75,000.
Yes, it'll be around
So
79
each year, we
next year.
pay $75,000, and we have all this water that we don't tap into.
And we just had a rate increase, so the bill for the upcoming billing is $79,000.
Sam here, Sam says that that's not good for, might not be as good as the water we're currently using, but.
And then, of course, the city of Somerton has their own properties, such as the parks and so forth, and they pay roughly $8,600 a year for that. Now, whether you use water on all those properties, I'm not sure.
Those are the residents that we've already converted and given the city our rights.
So more people could get out from under it. I mean, your mother could come in and we'd say, sure, we'll do this conversion, and the city of Somerton will pay your $10,000 bill for you. Because by contract, they have to.
I think
We
there's a
don't
limit.
push that. We don't. We really encourage the land, anybody coming in our office to do a conversion, I don't care where you live, we suggest it's best if you get a zero bill. You don't have a lien to us and you don't have a lien to the city. And you're free and clear before you sign it over. And we kind of stress that. We don't really say, oh, come on in, Somerton will take care of it. We don't do that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Item number 2, an update from Gina Thompson, Superintendent of the Yuma Union High School District on all matters concerning Somerton High School.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, Council. Nice to be here this evening. Sounds like it's time for an update and just kind of a picture of what we saw last time we were all together. Architectural drawing of proposed campus type for Somerton High School. The last time I was here, we had the renditions. You played like kind of little Lego type thing over here on the dais, and it was really an exciting evening. And you can kind of see there's, a lot of that is just the proposed and considering some of the parks and rec planning that had been talked about. But since then, we have some updates for you. I do have my team here with me tonight, Associate Superintendent Tim Brienza, Executive Director for Facilities Jay Munoz, as well as our Chief Financial Officer Diane Cordery. So I'm presenting and they're going to answer questions if you have any. But since we last spoke, we have begun the construction manager at risk procurement process. Yuma Union High School District has also solicited for and received responses for the request for qualifications for that. We have formed an evaluation committee specifically for that procurement, and we have a 5-member committee plus a facilitator. Ian McGahey is on our committee, and we are working to schedule that first meeting. So that's where we are with that particular process. We do have a draft schedule for a master plan, and I believe you're familiar with DLR. They have been already selected as the architect for that project, and Carmen has worked with the city of Somerton in the past as well as Yuma Union, so we will continue that work together. So some targets, everybody wants to know, when's it going to happen? Sometimes targets move, but this is our best guess for right now. There's a lot of things that we all need to work together on, but we are hoping for a substantial completion date of March 2022, meaning that students and families could visit and begin registration with a freshman class starting August of 2022. Right now, the range as far as how large will the school be built for, we would like to build it all in one phase. That saves significant dollars, not having to phase in. Also, when you piece together different parts of a building with security systems, fire alarms, and all of those things, it's a principal's nightmare. So we are going to go shoot for one full build out for 1,200 to 1,400 students. We talked a little bit about curriculum planning and what students are currently experiencing at some of our other at all of our other high schools. So I just want to always keep that in mind. And primarily, our students with Somerton addresses do go to Kofa High School. Right now, we have 1,014 students with Somerton addresses who are participating in career and technical education courses. So I want to keep that at the forefront. That's why we're starting with freshmen and building strategically and significantly looking at the interests of those students, so that it isn't what adults need, it's what students are looking for and what our industry partners are looking for in career pathways. So that'll be an important part to the steps in Somerton High School, so that we can build significant career and technical education as well as academic placement for the needs of those students. Another exciting part anytime you build a high school is readjusting boundaries. And sometimes this is a passionate thing for many people. So we are going to contract out for a third party to work with us on evaluating and looking at establishing boundaries for our entire district, primarily Somerton High School at this point, but we'll be looking at where students live and where we need to have them go to school. But we will continue to remain an open enrollment district as well. Already have met with Ian. We have presented a first round IGA for negotiation with the city of Somerton. We'll need to come back together and work on that. From the beginning, this was a partnership, especially in the field area, and I know that you're continuing with your Parks and Recreation plan. So we'll be coming back together to look at what we can do with that IGA in order to make the high school happen. Kind of another shot with a different angle of Somerton High School, and thank you for your time tonight, and I'm here as well as my team if you have any questions.
The boundaries right now, what's the boundaries for Somerton for the new school?
We have no boundary for Somerton right now. Right now Somerton is Kofa High School primarily. There's a dip down. There was an idea at one point. There's a small parcel that goes to San Luis High School to the south of us. So we would need to look at what the projections are, the number. We have to go back to the demographer report. So I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess right now on that. Plus people get excited, so.
Anybody else have any questions?
And Ms. Tubbs, how many resource officers are we looking at for this type of high school?
So, great question. Currently, there is no funding from the state for SROs. So, whatever we were able to do, we currently are in partnership with our other two city partners. So, San Luis Police Department, it's about a 50-50 split. They pay 50%, we pay 50% plus the overtime. Same thing with Yuma Police Department. It is when the program initially started back in the day, it was a Safe Schools grant, federal grant. And when the federal grant ran out, Yuma Union High School District was able to work with their cities and partner so that we could afford to continue the school resource program. So we would need to look at that with the city of Somerton as well. But though any safety features, I think it's important to know that is not a funded program. specifically. There's not earmarked dollars that any district is given. It is taken directly out of the maintenance and operations budget. So that's where partnerships really come into play. But all security guards at any of the campuses are paid directly out of our maintenance and operations budget, not some magic fund for school safety somewhere.
Gina, is there anything you can say about the 40-day or 100-day count and funding from the school facilities board at this point?
Sure, we went up, I want to say a little over 100 students as a district. Keep in mind that it isn't by enrollment area, it's by the entire district is what is reported. So it looks like we have gone up a little bit in enrollment, which is good news. So we're increasing. School facilities board, they will go to vote on our other movement as far as academic space at 2 of our other campuses, and that'll go to their board December 11th. So right now, I appreciate SFB listened to our case, and we were there for a significant amount of time, and the board approved, but now it needs to go for legislative approval as well. It doesn't directly affect, it affects all of us, but not just for Somerton High School.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 3, discussion and possible approval of partnership agreement between Somerton Youth Tower League, Arizona Soccer Association, and City of Somerton for soccer.
Good afternoon. Well, I don't see much. There you are. Come in here. You're at the agenda, not me.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council, attendants. I'm here to introduce Mr. Juan Guerrero. He's here to discuss possible action and approval of a proposed new independent affiliated league. He has here members of the association from Phoenix. I'm glad you came by and took the time, and I'm pass along the word, see what they have to offer the city.
Good afternoon or good evening, Vice Mayor, honorable council members. As you know, we had, back in September, we had the Tower Cup tournament. And one of the reasons we did the tournament was because we wanted to know what the interest in the community was for organized soccer. Right now, Yuma County does not have a club organized soccer league. And not certified. They do have a league, but it's not certified. I have with me Mr. Rick Kelsey. He's the CEO for ASA, the Arizona Soccer Association, along with his executive board. And what we would like to do is to create a club soccer league. The reason for that is because we have a lot of talent here in South County, especially in Somerton. And most of these kids that want to play competitive soccer, they have to go and play outside. They have to go play someplace else, in Phoenix, or belong to another league, or belong to another team. We have one team right now, I think it's RSL, that is the only team certified, but else RSL belongs to another league because we don't have a sanctioned league here. So we would like to do that. I did go before the Parks and Recreation Board, and we got their support, and also Parks and Recreation facilities that helped us out with the tournament. So it was very, very good. It was well received. And I don't know if we have the PowerPoint. Did you receive it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna introduce Mr. Rick Kelsey so he can tell you about ASA, and then if you have any questions, then we'll take it from there.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council, staff. First, by way of introduction, my name is Rick Kelsey. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Arizona Soccer Association. Arizona Soccer Association is a direct member of U.S. Soccer and U.S. Youth Soccer. Our charter is to grow the game of soccer. I came on board as the CEO June of 2018. I spent about 2.5 years prior to that as the president of the board. And one of my commitments as I took on this role was, how do we grow the game at the community grassroots level? As Judge Guerrero shared, when you look at Yuma, South County, Somerton, San Luis, there's a lot of soccer being played. If you listen to the media, you hear them all say all the time, there's less and less people playing. That's not true. They're playing, just where are they playing? And what we've done in our commitment as Arizona Soccer Association is to get out to the communities. We work down in San Luis. The San Luis Soccer League is now re-affiliated with Arizona Soccer Association. And working with Judge Guerrero, getting the opportunity to speak with you and bring the city of Somerton and put an affiliated program together to not only create a pathway for kids to be able to go to the next level of soccer, whatever that next level may be. For some, the next level may be baseball. For some, the next level may be a job. For some, though, the next level and the next opportunity is a pathway to college playing soccer and or potentially professional game, which is growing tremendously. Arizona Soccer Association, what we can provide to the city of Somerton and the soccer league is not only the opportunity to play soccer, but also coaching education. Both a pathway for your coaches to get their U.S. soccer coaching licenses, as well as free modules just to help the moms and dads that want to volunteer and be involved. But we want to make sure they're educated, that they're understanding what they're training the kids on. Also, we do the background checks. So all the coaches, all the volunteers that are participating and engaging with the children are all background check cleared and Safe Sport certified. If you're not familiar with Safe Sport is the federal legislation. If you think Dr. Larry Nasser, that's now the requirement. So we make sure that everybody has those two things before they can actually get on the field with the kids. Also referees. One of the big opportunities we missed, and when you come down to the Yuma area and South County area, is, and as you look to bring on another high school, you're gonna need referees, you're gonna need officials. A lot of times we miss is the opportunity for kids to make money as referees, as officials. We'll bring them up to Phoenix for those big tournaments, put them in a hotel for a weekend, they can walk out $300 in their pocket, easy. And again, it's a new way to become part of the game and learn things well beyond soccer. You learn the conflict resolution, what it means to have authority, what it means to have that final say, and that's huge in the development of our future leaders in the community. So along with the coaching education, the referee education, one other thing we provide also is insurance. So as players get hurt, because it happens, we do provide an insurance coverage for all the players that are registered with us. Our bottom line fee for an in-house recreational player is $7.75 per player. And again, we can work with the cities. We're working currently with City of Maricopa. We're working with Boys and Girls Club of Metro Phoenix. Obviously, as I mentioned, the City of San Luis. I'm also talking with the City of Gilbert to bring their programs in. So this is not about how do we bring everybody into Phoenix. It's how do we promote all of the cities and all of the players in Arizona to everybody in Arizona, not just one community. So we're very excited to have the opportunity to partner with the City of Somerton. We appreciate Judge Guerrero bringing us this opportunity as well, and look forward to any questions you may have.
I have several questions.
Several.
I heard one more Judge.
Juan, that's fine.
You mentioned the word club. Are we talking about creating a club, like a traveling club, or is it like a youth league? What's it, Somerton?
Good question, because I did speak to some members and there was some confusion. All right, so Somerton has a recreational league, which is great, because you need a recreation league, you need the foundation to feed the club league. This is a club league. So what's the advantage about a club league versus a recreational league? A club league, you don't have to deal with uniforms, you don't have to deal with individual membership. The clubs themselves will register the players. We just make sure that the players are able and they'll be registered with ASA. What our intention is, eventually I talked to Mr. Mesa about this, is to have also the recreational league sanctioned by ASA as well. Then that's what we would do. Right now, like we're spearheaded with San Luis, that's why San Luis is now getting involved with ASA, is because they don't have a recreational league. All they have is a club league, but that club league is just that. They're not registered, there's no insurance, there's no protection, and there's no accountability for anybody. And that's the good thing about having a control league, because then there's bylaws and so forth, yes.
The way we understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mesa, with the recreation league that we have, the kids have their insurance paid, right?
No,
How is that?
that's ran independently on the side of the parents. Basically, the city does not provide insurance for the participants. It's just they sign the waiver and the participation.
Send the waiver and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it?
Yeah.
And going back to the club, so what's gonna happen with all these players that are playing recreational soccer right now here in Somerton? And I know I'm seeing it more like a traveling team, you know, there's softball travel teams, there's soccer traveling teams that I know of. There's a lot of traveling teams that are, is that what you're talking about, creating clubs to make it traveling teams or?
No. What it is that the recreational league will run its course, its season. Because the last thing, and I did speak with Mr. Mess in reference to this, I did not want the club league and the recreational league to run concurrent. Because if you do that, then some players, exactly, and you know that, I play side, so you know how that works. So no, this league, we talked about it, our target date for this league, if approved by council, to start in March, run for two months, depending on the clubs that registered, and then run the other league in September, which ends the recreational league before the club league starts.
It's pretty much like what the Veteranos doing, right? They have clubs participating in
Yeah, but this will benefit the kids because we're projecting to start from U10, U12, U14, U16, and Youth 18. And as a matter of fact, the high schools, one of the commissioners did ask if we were to approve the league, if we were willing to accept the high schools to be part of this league because there's no organized soccer.
And if I can add just one thing to that, one of the commitments Arizona Soccer Association is making is when you look at youth sports, period, you mentioned travel. Right? It's expensive, right? Getting involved anymore is just expensive and it's costing more and more. And one of the challenges we run into is we host a number of teams from Yuma that do come to Phoenix. They want the competition that's up in Phoenix. They want to come to those. They say, well, we want the Phoenix teams to drive to Yuma. What are the Phoenix teams saying? They're like, I'm not driving 2.5, 3 hours for one game for fair competition, but it's still one game. What we want to also develop in this part of the state, and I've had conversations with the Soccer Association, Cal South Soccer Association, to include El Centro, Brawley, Mexicali. How do we build a strong competitive league that's focused in this community? That way we can continue to develop players, but they get to stay home and they get to play in front of their friends and their family, and they're not driving back and forth to Phoenix. Those players that want to evolve to driving back and forth to Phoenix, that should become a small number. And that way we're, again, trying to drive the community growth, not just how can we get more kids playing in Phoenix or outside of the community.
Well, for me, quite honestly, I mean, if the Somerton Youth Tower League wants to start their own leagues and with association with ASA, then by all means, I mean, we would have to look at what exactly you guys want from us. But as far as our recreational leagues, well, what does it do to recreational leagues? You know, does it drive up the cost? Because you guys are getting $7 per participant, correct?
That's what we charge. Yes. However,
$7, but we do all the registration.
Well, no, we register. They register with us as well. But what I would also tell you is one of the things that matters to me most is making sure we support the community. So yes, that's our bottom tier registration, but we have the ability to work with the community and say what works best. Maybe $7 isn't today. Maybe you can tell me, hey, you know what? 5 years from now, we can do $7.75 a player, but right now we can do $1. Okay, let's see what we can do to make that work. Well, what I want to make sure we're doing is it's not intended to be transactional. It's meant to be a relationship. Because if you can grow these players going forward, how great would it be to have Somerton High School playing San Luis High School or Kofa High School or Yuma High School in the state soccer championship? And it starts here. That's where we want to go. So from my perspective, I share the $7.75 with you because if you see this presentation, it says it in there. There's nothing worse than reading a number that nobody told you about. So my intention of sharing that with you was to make sure you were aware. But and I believe this, and obviously I'm going to, building the relationship between the Arizona Soccer Association and the city of Somerton builds that foundation for us to move forward for that next generation. Because as Judge Guerrero shared, and I think Councilman Gonzalez, you guys played at Kofa High School together, Well, after you got done with Kofa High School, then what? But now how do we get the kids from middle schools and elementaries and help them with the then what? That's what we want to help accomplish.
Well, the city, I'm looking at it from the perspective of the financial impact, not only for us, but also for you guys. And I completely agree with you, you know, you might be able to provide us expertise with refereeing or coaching, stuff that is duly needed in order to make this successful, but we also have to sit down carefully and look at the financial impact.
Absolutely.
And so, with that said, I think we still need to have a little bit more talks and just flat out say, hey, yeah, let's jump into partnership. How are we going to jump into partnership?
And let me address that. Right now, council member, we're not addressing the issue with the recreational league. The recreation is already established. We're not changing that at all. Like I mentioned, that's in the future plan to have the recreational league be sanctioned by ASX.
That's why I said that I'm not sure if I want to move on the recreational side, that I'm fully supportive of whatever this endeavor, what is it called, the Somerton Youth Tower League?
Yes, and this is only for the Tower League, for the Club League, to be part of the Somerton sports.
What exactly is the Somerton Youth Tower League needing from us? You know,
The fields, what the Parks and Recreation provided for the tournament, which is the fields. Like I said, it all depends with the availability of fields, because obviously we only have Council Park, but I know that we do have the high schools. So it all depends the availability of fields, and that's going to determine the teams that we're going to allow, and there's certain measurements per field or per age group. So it all depends on that. So that's going to be for future discussion. But right now, it's just that Somerton will provide the fields. You guys have the infrastructure. You have your facilities. What we'll provide would be the scheduling, make sure that the tournament goes as supposed to go. We're going to have the meetings because there's requirements by ASA. And everything that we get from the proceeds from the tournament, like I told Mr. Mesa, it's going back to the city of Somerton. The only thing that we would ask, if we can, to make a line item for the soccer funds to go to that, so it could be used for the recreational league and could be used for the club league. So part of those fees that we're talking about will probably come from there. And I will, like I told council in San Luis, that if kids come over and present a B average and above, they'll play for free. We'll pick up the cost. And how do we determine that? Well, like I mentioned to the board, the Parks and Recreation Board, was that we're going to make an effort to aggressively get those sponsors because it's for these kids.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, by all means, you know, I'm supportive of you guys doing something with Somerton Youth Tower League, but I'm not ready to move on. I know you kind of just mentioned it, but I'm not ready to say, hey, yeah, you know, let's commit our rec leagues to that.
I have one question for Mr. Mesa. How do you feel taking over this because you're a partner?
Yes.
How do you feel?
On behalf of Parks and Rec Department, we're all for promoting sports. Of course, it's part of development. It's not going to be a competition as we see it, because it's going to be a feeder basically from the Recreation League, which is going to be beforehand. On our part, my only, I would say, concern, you could say, would be the maintenance part of it. To put it out there, the leagues are going to be used year round. So with the staff we have, it's going to be harder to maintain the upkeep and make them look decent and professional and, I mean, presentable. Because I'm pretty sure that an affiliated league like that's going to need some standards or bylaws according to the field. So we might need further funding or maybe staffing to be able to promote and have a decent upkeep of the fields. Besides, on the programming side, there's not going to be an effect. It's just going to be on the maintenance and staffing, man hours. But for the program, it's a great program. It's going to be useful. It's going to be very proactive for the community and positive. But you have to take into account the maintenance.
Mayor, I mean, maybe we should have a work session with Mr. Juan Guerrero, so we could iron out some of those issues and give our Parks and Rec director sufficient time to be able to get a ballpark idea.
Yeah.
Because I understand what you're talking about, that we might be using them year round.
Yep.
Well, if we're gonna use them we're gonna feed, or that, they're gonna be the next step.
Yep.
Well, you might be able to eliminate one season from the city and give the opportunity for these kids to move on to higher competition. So that's also a possibility.
Yeah, and the field needs some rest too for the seating and all that too.
Yeah, and that was a concern that
Yeah.
we did speak about, because we do have a lot of other activities in Somerton. We have baseball, we have t-ball, we have, so yes, that is definitely a concern.
Yeah.
We have to come up with a good schedule, yearly schedule for all these events that are coming up, whether it's t-ball, because again, you don't want to run t-ball and soccer at the same time, because if you just split the town, there's only so much talent for.
And we do have kids that play both sports as well. So.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of pro and cons about this issue, but in reality, the kids are gonna get a lot of benefit out, because they're gonna be playing pretty much year round.
Yeah.
Because those kids that are playing recreational, they probably go and join the other club as well. And don't we have right now, like, we have softball teams, clubs that are playing here in Somerton right now? Or is it
There's
just
some
recreational
intact
softball?
that come by and want to play. Yep.
And same thing with basketball, right?
Yep.
That we have clubs that come and play here in
Yeah.
Somerton, or that are playing. I don't have any problem, but like Councilman Villalpando mentioned, maybe that we can elaborate more. I'm not against at all, it's full support of this, but once we put everything, I know that you guys just presented something that is for discussion, but hopefully we'll come to, we do like a work session with you guys again.
Well, I guess we can table. Yeah.
Well, it's
I was just gonna say that I think it's I think it's a great idea. I mean, that you're gonna have those kids that regardless of what sport is out there, whether it's baseball or it's flag football, they're gonna, if their passion is soccer, they're gonna play soccer. So I think it's a great idea for our kids. It'll give them that extra, that competitiveness. I've seen it firsthand on other sports. We take teams to Mexico because of the competitive the competitive. You don't get that. So I mean, regarding the maintenance, I pretty sure you guys can come up with the schedule where it needs to be reseeded or whatever it is. I mean, I think that's something that's you guys already have thought about. I know it's going to be year round, but I mean, there's no way it can be really year round because So I'm for it. I mean, I think it's a great idea. It'll give our students, our kids here, that option to, if they want to keep advancing soccer level, it gives them that opportunity. So I'm all right with it.
Just want to add upon your comment. We talked to also Parks and Rec Commission. They have the same feeling. They support it. They know it's a good opportunity for the program to grow because soccer here in the region is the #1 sport. But also, according to our stats, it's a ballpark figure. We have around 1,500 folks participate, youth and adult. So there's 18,000 people here roughly in Somerton. So there's more space. There's enough numbers for everyone. It's not gonna take away from the flag football or the baseball. There's enough people for all the activities. Just a matter of the structure and the programming and the marketing. So it's not gonna be a competition, and there's a lot of opportunities for the kids and scholarships and further development. Maybe professionals get a professional soon from Somerton, and they already have some from San Luis, from Yuma, but I don't know if from Somerton if we already had a professional here. come out of Somerton.
No, that's not. No.
So that would be nice, and that's a good step.
Just Councilman, Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yeah, MLS or whatever, so yeah.
So one thing I'd like to part with is from an Arizona Soccer Association, and Councilman Villalpando, as you touched on, you guys doing all the work. What I'd like for you to think about as you go through your working sessions, what do you want from us? Right, a lot of times people come here and we come and we make the ask. I want this from you. I want this from you. What do you want from us? Because what I tell my staff and I tell all of our clubs, I promise you I won't do it if you never ask. I can't promise I can do everything, but if you don't ask, I guarantee I won't do it. So I really would like for you to, as Councilman Villalpando touched on, the value of the coaching education alone and the background checks and what have you that we're able to do, and linking that into U.S. Soccer and show that pathway. I think that's invaluable, and I think it was recognized here as well. So please, as you work through your working sessions, don't hesitate to call us up and say, hey, Rick, here's what we think we need, and then we can come back down. I'm happy to make the drive down here. I've made it now probably 6 times over the last few months, because this region does mean a lot. As Mr. Mesa just mentioned, there's a lot of kids playing, and we'd like to get them under an umbrella and give them a pathway.
Yeah, and just one thing that we forgot to mention, that this program and this association has the ODP program as well. I don't know, you didn't mention that.
Oh, no, I did not mention that.
You wanna mention
So the Olympic Development Program is a pathway to the national teams. And one of the things we're working on right now, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking to bring a coaching education course down here. We're also looking, our ODP program typically has the tryouts in Casa Grande, and one of our failures is we're asking people to come to where we are. We're trying to make that change, so we're looking to come down to the in the South County, Somerton, San Luis area and region, and bring an ODP identification camp here, local, so we can identify players and say, hey, look, you should come up, or you should come up, or you should come up. And we're doing that, a lot of that in partnership with Arizona Western University as well, or Arizona Western College, excuse me. So again, another added value for the kids to get that identification and possibly get those opportunities to go to those development academies and so forth. So again, anything. I do, I have a bunch of them. I will leave them right here for you.
Can I ask a question? So is this association can it be compared to like in Little League Cal Ripken?
No. So the way the structure is, so you have U.S. Soccer is the overarching body for all of soccer in the United States, and then right under them is us. So we are a direct affiliate to U.S. Soccer. So when they have their annual general meeting, we sit there with our keypad and we have a vote, and we're direct members of U.S. Soccer. Where Little League, Cal Ripken, and what have you, they're all different. So under our association in Arizona, we have 45,000 registered players. So as I talk to a lot of commercial work that we work with, the Sporting Goods and some of the others, and to get to our number of kids, they have to talk to 40 Little Leagues, whereas they can come to just us. So we are that overarching body for the entire state. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It was discussion of possible action, that's what we did, but if you want to bring it over, we'll schedule it.
Moving on to number 4, discussion of possible action to approve an application for extension of premises patio permit requested by 85350 Sports Bar for October 26, 2019 Halloween fundraiser.
Madam Vice Mayor and members of the council, the 85350 Pizzeria and Grill is applying for an extension of the premises patio permit to accommodate a Halloween party. The event will take place on Saturday, October 26th from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Setup would begin at noon. I don't see Mr. Porches here. He's the applicant on the application. So you have the information in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. Also, Special Events Coordinator Angelica Roldan is here. She might have some information as well. But the recommended action is to approve the application.
Vice Mayor, thank you. Ian, Mr. Porches did call me and told me that he got called away, so he wasn't going to be able to be here. But he did clarify that as far as the stage is concerned, that he was asking for the stage on behalf of the the ASU alumni, that it's not really for him, but it's a cost savings for the ASU alumni, which will, as we all know, they use these funds to put the mod festival, correct? So, I mean, it's not, some of this in-kind stuff is not really directly a benefit to him, but to the ASU alumni.
Thank you for that clarification.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have one question. I'm 100% yes, I will approve it. But the only thing that is bothering me, they asked me the other day at work, and I didn't know anything about it, but it was on Facebook before even this, so I will next, in the future, I will appreciate it first, let us know and approve it before it goes on social media, that yes, we're doing it. What about if we decided to say no, but I'm 100% yes because my daughter's got the scholarship too, so. But it's the only thing I will, for the future, before we decide yes or nay, don't post it on social media or come. I know it was at the last minute, but I understand that's the only concern I have.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Do you have a motion?
That's right. One more question. As far as the departments, nobody's had an issue with providing any other services or? No?
The fire department did raise a potential concern, Chief. Did you want to?
Our only concern isn't our covers. We'll cover from station, but our concern is the attendance. And that building can only hold so many people. We're not asking for anything other than for them to respect the occupancy load and not violate the occupancy load.
I think it's gonna be outside.
It's gonna be inside and outside.
Oh, I had
They're
heard
gonna
it
be
was just
using
gonna be the
8x3
fence
roll.
area in the back.
Yeah, so as long as within the facility they're maintaining the occupancy load, there's no problem with us.
Okay. So you want to pass that along to support?
And that was it, sir. Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Villalpando, a second by Councilman Galindo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, discussion and possible approval of a plan to address compensation compression affecting some positions in the Somerton City Service.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, compensation compression happens when you have small differences in pay regardless of experience, skills, levels, or seniority. This happens when an organization's internal compensation structure is outdated and can also be triggered by minimum wage increases which affect the bottom end of the compensation range, but not the top. Human Resource Specialist Armando Leon has been looking at compression in our organization and is here to present a plan to address the situation. Mr. Leon.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Garcia and council members. So we've been looking at multiple issues with our compensation plans. And certainly the last time that we looked at this, where our salary grades were adjusted or even looked at, was back in 2007. And since then, those salary grades have not been touched. So what's happened recently with the minimum wage increases that, excuse me, let's see, we had $8.05 in 2015, then it went up to $10 in 2017, then $10.50, then in 2019, $11, and then it's coming up another increase in 2020 of $12. So some of the positions that we've had have been coming up from the bottom as far as the minimum has been coming up to match the minimum wage. But we haven't, at the times that we've adjusted the lower end, we haven't really adjusted the higher end of the scale. So what's happened is that many new employees that are being hired, that were recently hired within the last possibly 5 years, as we've hired new employees within this last year or so, they've been hired at pretty much the same rate as an employee that's been here 3 or 4 years. So there's no separation. So what happened is that the COLA adjustments that were done in the last 5 years were basically wiped out based on the bottom of the scale coming up. So I've been looking at the possible ways to alleviate this, and in the absence of having, we still don't have formal compensation plan. So that's something that we definitely need to look at in the near future. And I'll be working on something over the next few months to try to present. But for now, we have a directive from council from a previous meeting that we needed to address compression. And so I have one example of a position that's in that position of compression. I'll give it to you. So here we have a grouping of 4 maintenance workers and in the Parks and Recreation. If we look at the top employee, this person was hired in 2014, and their current rate is $12.22 per hour. And if you look to the right column, the years of service, since the hire date, it's nearly at 4 years of years of service, 3.74. The bottom 2 employees are making exactly the same thing, $12.22 per hour. And if you look to the right, both of these employees have less than a year of experience. So this is one example of what compression looks like. So we've had an employee with almost 4 years experience making exactly the same $12.22 as 2 employees that were just recently hired making exactly the same thing. So what happened in this particular situation that as the minimum wage was increased, this employee that's been here 3.74 years, what was basically their increase the pay to match the minimum wage. But then when these new employees were hired, they came in at exactly the same rate of pay. I've been looking at, since we don't have a formal compensation plan, what I've been looking at is some of the tools that are available to us as far as how to address this compression issue. So I come up with a plan. So we don't have formal salary scales right now. We don't have formal salary scales, but what we do have is a history of COLA adjustments that were done. So in 2014, we did a COLA adjustment of 1.5%. In 2015, it was 2.0%. 2017, we did a 1.5%. So basically, what I did is, had that employee that's been here 3.74 years, had the rate of pay been $12.22 per hour at that time, and then you factor in the COLA increase that had been wiped out because of the minimum wage, then if we look at the, let's see, the one that's 3.74, under this method, 2 employees are impacted as far as their rates being increased. So the first one, at the very top, this particular employee, their current rate is $12.66 per hour. He has 7 years from the date of hire, years of service. So the lowest rate on the job class is $12.22. That's the baseline. If I factor in those COLA increases that were wiped out because of the minimum wage, and we look at the comparison rate, factoring those back in, then we're looking at 12.83. So I compared those 2 rates. If it was lower than I didn't. If it was higher than that amount, then it was okay. But if it needed to be adjusted up, then I factored that in there. So in this case, that particular employer, we would recommend increasing the rate to 12.83 instead of 12.66. In that particular case, and that would create more separation from the lower end, from the employees that have less than a year experience that just started. The other employee that would be affected because of the compression is the one at the bottom, also $12.22, compare that to $12.40 per hour. So then that would be the recommended rate. So that's just 2 examples of this one class. And you have to compare employees within their own class in order to be able to compare one to the other. So, any questions on that? Yes.
Were employees compared in that particular category across the entire city, or was it just by department?
For the maintenance workers, I actually did a comparison for all of the maintenance workers as a group. I did a full analysis of all the maintenance workers, regardless of what department we're in. Right now, I just highlighted only the parks. It's only highlighted. But as a comparison, I looked at all the maintenance workers as a group and then based my analysis on that grouping. But I just wanted to highlight the method that I was using and just comparing the Parks and Rec as an illustration. So basically what we're looking for is to get the method approved so that then we can move forward and do the full calculations of all the employees that would be impacted in the compression. Future-wise, we need to have the salary scales adjusted, and we need to do some work on getting some of our salary scales to market. Right now, we've fallen below the market on several of our salary scales. That's another step that needs to be done as part of the total compensation package. And then when the additional minimum wage goes up, we need to do an analysis again, make sure that there's no additional compression created then. Initially, there was $25,000 that was initially set aside for just to deal with compression as one phase, and there was an additional
$92,600.
$92,600 that was also funneled in, reallocated to deal with compression. My initial analysis indicates that we're probably going to be able to address these specific compression issues with the $25,000 this year, and I believe that we should be okay with that. So that leaves the other $94,000 for you to decide if we want to use that for COLA adjustments for the other employees or however you see fit.
You did this with all departments. You reviewed all departments before.
Correct. I still have a couple that I still need to do some work on, but I think I'm at about 85-90% complete.
I like it. I mean, that's something that's better than nothing. And at this point in time, and quite honestly, I mean, I was telling Councilman Gonzalez, hey, remember the time that I kept saying, hey, do not give a cost of living increase to those less than a year, because this was happening.
Right.
And also I brought it back when the minimum wage was increasing. I made a statement, you know, it's devaluing the value of those that are making above minimum wage. So how are we going to address that? And so here we are, a year or so later,
right,
we're having to tackle that on. And so.
And I know that in the past, there certainly have been some budget constraints, and I know that's limited our ability to adjust our market rates to meet the current market. But I think we need to start taking some steps towards that to remediate that, and this would be one step towards addressing just the compression issue. It's going to affect just a few employees, and then we still have room to do some COLA adjustments. So it would the first phase would be do the compression issue, address that, and then once that's adjusted, then we can do a COLA adjustment on top of that.
Like I said, I like it. I mean, it's something that's better than nothing, but maybe after you're done with this, we can probably analyze and see if there is still some more adjustments that can be done. I mean, I see somebody here, what was it, 12 years experience? You know.
Yeah, 12.92.
67.
Almost 13 years,
Yeah, that's one. They're only like about $1.45 more than somebody that just started.
I could carry this out a little bit further and then maybe just work back and look at some other, the previous years of COLA adjustments and maybe lay that out to see if what that looks like. But this is the initial attempt to try to address that compression, and I needed to have a method that was tied to our current system. So this ties to our current system. Okay. Thank you. So I'll be working with Ian and to communicate as we progress with the rest of this. Okay. Thank you.
Do we need, if you can go back and look at,
It sounds like maybe there's a little more work to do. The original motion was that we were going to ask for was to approve the concept with the anticipation that it would cost less than $25,000 and to reallocate the funds moved from the COLA back to the COLA. If the council doesn't feel ready to do that, you don't need to act on that. If you do feel ready, that's up to you. But it sounds like there might be a little more work to do and bring it back to council. Okay. Thank you.
thank you. Item number 6, discussion and possible approval of a new full-time recreation specialist position in substitution of current contractual lead coordinators, resulting in no additional impact to current budget. Mr. Mesa.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. I'm here before you to present a good proposal, which I'm more than positive it's a good baby step forward towards strengthening the structure of our recreation division and our department. As you can see there, their center is families building a strong foundation across the programs that we deliver across our community, and our staffing is low in numbers, but it's high in quality. Like Mr. Rodney, I commend his work here, and he's been holding the fort but for the past few months that have been here for the recreation. But it's only so much you can do and so much energy before you're getting the people basically dried out. Here's the proposal. It's basically we're not asking for a new position to be funded. It's basically a swap in exchange of the 9, we have currently 9 league coordinators, which are basically the folks that run our leagues, like youth softball, girls softball, the youth baseball, I mean. And it's divided into seasons. Basically, the coordinators work around 1 to 2 seasons a year. The seasons are around 2 to 2.5 months with the playoffs included. The salaries normally range from $13 to $14 per hour, depending on their experience and expertise. And it's at as needed basis, as I mentioned. It's mostly spring and fall, and some of them run in the summer, like basketball and all that. So each coordinator averages around $3,700 a year of total earnings, and it's around $37,000 in total. So basically, we got those numbers with the assistance of the finance department. I appreciate the support and all their help in this process. It's a lot of numbers, but they're confirmed, and it's from those 2 accounts. Basically, we're gonna reclassify. We're working on reclassification of our position for the rec supervisor, which Esteban Ibarra used to have. We want to reclassify it into a rec coordinator, which is more of the duties he performs. He's not supervising anybody. It's just basically the programs themselves and the league coordinators right now. And with that reclassification, we're gonna liberate almost $7,000 for a possible addition of a rec specialist. As you can see there, the recreation coordinator right now, the special would be rated at $13.46 per hour, which is around, it totals at $6,000, which is going to compensate, and it's going to yield a net savings of almost $1,000, which with that adjustment, reclassification. Basically, we're not going to need more funds. It's going to be taken out of our contractual labors, as long as that savings with the reclassification. And also, I just want to comment that it's going to be a good deal for us because we're going to get more hits on the position. Right now, it's only been 2 candidates, and one of them, it's not, he doesn't meet the requirements. So with that reclassification, we can lower the requirement to be, instead of a bachelor's, it's going to be a high school diploma with some experience, which most of the league coordinators right now are going to qualify for that. And On contrast, they're not gonna qualify because none of them have a bachelor's and all the requirements we were asking. And there's a lot of talent. We're gonna closely look into the candidates we have available from the contractual league coordinators. We're gonna be neutral, of course, but we have the talent there, bump up and take up on that responsibility. I don't know if you have any questions up to this point.
So, so with this, we would be eliminating the 9 coordinator position and just have one in charge of them all, right?
Yes, sir. That would be the coordinator. The coordinator and the specialist, it's going to be a 2-man team, but it's going to be a full-time team. And the contractual employees are basically just running each league independently. And so they're basically in charge of running a league. But at the end of the day, all the concerns, the complaints, they go back to the coordinator and they bounce back to me. So it's better to have 2 that are committed, liable, accountable, and you know they're gonna clock in at 8 in the morning, they're gonna leave at 5. You can count with them, and contractuals, it's their second or third option, and you never know. We don't even have a contract, no background check. So we're liable if something happens, and those kids, up to this point, there's no background checks on those contractual employees, so that could be a situation by itself.
And I believe that's how we used to have it in the past, right? Or no? I mean, I'm talking years back, right? Because I do remember, okay.
You know, we did it with one person.
Yeah, there used to be just one person, and that's how I used to be back then in my days in San Luis as a coordinator. It was just myself and the specialist, and we had about the same activities, and we were bobbling between other duties as assigned, but we got it through. I mean, but with one person, it's gonna be the same process. We're gonna get somebody that's hyped, that has the energy. He's gonna come in a few months. He's gonna be swamped. He's gonna be basically like dried up like the grass. If we run it all year, we don't work on a good plan for the league. But I mean, it's gonna be the same process, and our key staff, it's hold its own, but it's not gonna do it forever. So we gotta watch out after our staff and our key elements in the department, your Rodney and Angelica, and hopefully the future coordinator. So, have any other question? Okay, moving forward.
Actually, I have a question. So what's the yearly salary for this position that you're requesting?
I'm requesting it's a 1346. We're basing it on a full-time basis with benefits, no dependents, and it ranges up to 43,000 a year total with benefits and medical and all that.
Well, because I'm looking for the longest time, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but
Yep.
you try to get 80% of the UMA salary range.
Yep.
80% of the UMA salary range is 39,000.
Yep.
So I don't want, the problem with doing this type of move is that later on, they're gonna hit us up and say, hey, I'm $3,000 underpaid,
Yep.
$2,000, what are you gonna do about it, And so that's where my concern lies, is that we might potentially be having to adjust this person's salary again. And the other thing too is you're using all the contractual funding.
Yep.
Will you still have enough to do contract employment with my nose special events? You guys have contract employees there, and also lifeguards.
Yep.
You guys will have funding available for all that?
Yeah, those numbers are just based on the league coordinators. They're not based on the attendance and all the other contractual staff, which are the umps and scorekeepers and basically the event attendance. And on the other question, we're basing our efforts on the neighboring cities, and we might have to revisit that policy later, basing the 80% on Yuma. Yuma structure is very different. They're based on a different arrangement of services and on staff. So it's a good opportunity. It's not very, it's close to what the recreation specialist makes in San Luis, which is a very competitive rate. And we based it on a job description, which is closely related to this particular job. So we got it as close as it could be to what the person's going to be making, and as close as to what we can do right now with what we have available without asking for more budget or without holding this for a longer time. I mean, we could revisit it and later.
All I'm asking is that possibly call it something else. I mean, even if it's a recreational program supervisor,
Yeah.
just because they're gonna literally hold you to this.
Yeah.
And if they are, I would tell you, you're over budget.
Yep.
You know, and so that's what I'm saying, you know, you gotta look at it probably a little bit more careful, but I'm in favor of restructuring and having somebody be held accountable for whatever happens out there. Because you're exactly right. When you first made that statement during our retreat, is that sometimes there's no accountability, there's no ownership of responsibilities. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, because I think that was part of the problem.
Yep.
And so again, you know, I just hope that you look at that recreational program supervisor or coordinator position a little bit more careful, because it's via resolution that you're going to be at 80%.
Yep.
So I don't want to be held hostage down the road. That's it.
Yeah, and we're actually basing the qualifications and the earnings for the recreation coordinator, which we want to reclassify from a rec supervisor, because the earnings are not reachable right now.
Yeah.
What 80% of a supervisor is making Yuma, it's $25 to $30 an hour. That's something that it's not budgetable for us right now. So we're not paying the 80% because those rates or references are outdated. So it might be something interesting to maybe take into consideration, maybe revisiting that particular policy, because it's not helping our costs and it's making things way more difficult than they are for our departments, and especially for Parks and Rec, which I'm trying to improve right now.
Completely agree with you.
Yep.
But it is there, and again, you know, the bottom pay for Yuma is $49,572. So
yeah.
So that's why, and they don't look at the qualifications. They don't look at the fact that we lowered from bachelor's to high school with experience. They're just going to look at the job title itself.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's where I'm saying that we got to be careful when you're matching job titles.
Yeah, and we based it on the coordinator and a program coordinator position from Yuma actually. So it's not based on one from San Luis or any other parts. We're basing it because of the policy of from Yuma and the 80 and all that. So I'm gonna move forward. Next slide. This is the breakdown of what the current recreation supervisor is doing. He's basically overseeing 12 leagues, 5 programs, and around 1,500 participants, roughly. It's a ballpark figure. And he currently oversees the 9 league coordinators, which oversee the assigned leagues depending on as needed and according to their expertise. And it's approximately, the league coordinators oversee around 120 to 150 participants, which they have to be accountable for. And at the end of the day, the coordinator is the one that receives all the responsibility side of things. So he has no backup. At times there's been the situation where he needs to schedule and the person said, well, I gotta look after my family, my other job, and I don't have it. And there comes back the complaints from the community, and it's gonna keep happening. And even with 2 full-time is just a good first step, but it's gonna make things a lot better. And there's the schedule there on the left. It's basically the yearly calendar. It's a lot of activities. Some of them are weekend events and the fundraisers that we host. But the leagues right now, And some of the tournaments are also coordinated and ran by the league coordinators, which it accumulates more budget also. And here are the advantages basically of the proposal. As I mentioned, there's enough budget right now to compensate for this swap or exchange. It's a trade of goods, but it's going to create more good for the department in terms of the customer service. Of course, the leaks are going to be monitored a lot better, so you're going to have more accountability. The city's liable in the end of the day because we, like I mentioned, there's a situation we're not running background checks on the folks. It extends the cost, so it's going to accumulate. And with one person being here as an aid or a support agent of the coordinator, it creates a team and it creates more structure, and the workflow is going to be a lot better. And the current contractual coordinators, as I mentioned, we have the talent there. And one of the two people who applied is one of the coordinators. So it's 50% that he gets the job. So if we have more candidates, hopefully more of the people that are actually in that system as the lead coordinators are going to be able and wanting to apply. And as I mentioned, accountability, timesheets also, audits might be a concern.
So sir, I have, is this position already in the paper?
No, this is something we want to do in terms of.
On Sunday's paper. But,
Oh yeah, we have the recreation one, the supervisor, but not this one. This one is basically just a proposal. Yeah, this is something we want to do internally. Yes, since it's basically a swap and exchange, not a new position that we're gonna budget. I don't know. Any questions on? So I mentioned the small graphic there is basically start creating a foundation for the programming, the structure, to make improve the customer service, and the efficiency of the programs are going to be benefited quite a bit. The proposal continued financial data is we've revised it with the finance department. They can attest for the numbers and the wages. As I mentioned, it's going to depend on the 1346, which are basically the minimum we can do right now, depending on our budget, which I'm pretty sure some of the folks that are actually running the leagues right now want that opportunity to have a full-time job and some benefits for themselves. And employee morale is also a factor there, because it's getting to the point where our current staff it's over swamped right now. So we need to do something about it and rescue the programs, because right now we're running late on the registrations, and you can only do so much. And we extended the registrations because there's nobody there, and there's a lot to Parks and Rec besides the parks and the actual leagues. And the full-time position, as I mentioned, they're gonna be able to assist the other 7. Let's say 2 of them get picked. The other 7 can still keep helping as scorekeepers, event attendants, other contractual labor. There's going to be budget for them to do something. So I know that some of them it's an extra cash for their home, their family. And as I mentioned, we're trying to create more opportunities for the community. It's a good step. I'm open to any questions or concerns.
Coordinator, do you plan to fluctuate the time that he's going to be, because you mentioned 8 to 5, but we've always had issues with nobody being on the field when there are questions are.
No, yeah, the coordinator is supposed to be a schedule when the activities are going to be here, so that's going to be something to take into consideration. Hopefully, let's say something like 11 to 8 or something like that. And the specialist, if approved, can be up to 10 or 10:30 when turn off the lights, check that everything's ready, take care of the equipment. So that's also a factor. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars in equipment, and a lot of people have keys for the buildings, the facilities, and you never know. There's more accountability You're protecting our assets. And as I mentioned, it's more secure, and the city's gonna be liable if something happens to those kids. And there has to be some structure, and this is only a first step. I'm not gonna say this is gonna be the cure for the whole situation, but it's gonna be a lot of help.
So what's gonna be the primary difference between a coordinator and a specialist?
The specialist is supposed to be a supporting staff. It's basically, it's gonna monitor the leaks, the setups. He's gonna help with the scheduling, the calls, and the coordinator can help administer the complaints, can maybe help the director, the supervisor oversee some of the events, and it's gonna create more of a structure system. Instead of the coordinator having to be running around making the calls, setting up the complaints, so just one person can't do it all, and at the end of the day, everything bounces back to him. It's the lead coordinators are.
But coordination of the events, though, those are done by your events coordinator, so realistically, that person shouldn't even be involved in it.
No, like the recreational events. For example, we're hosting some clinics and a baseball event November 8th, so that's gonna be oversee the logistics of recreational events. For example, clinics, some trainings for the stuff like that, which takes some logistics to actually organize.
So the specialist would be strictly for like your programs, like
Yeah, oversee the programs, and also they would they do help monitor the programs, the ongoing recreational programs at the cultural center. So there's more of a watch. I mean, because they're running themselves, but they're going on their own and opening, closing, and it's not the ideal situation.
Yeah, but they were established by other entities other than us, probably opening the facilities and closing them. I mean, there's not much for that program specialist to really be involved with them.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see, quite honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to see that you're gonna have essentially a coordinator, a specialist helping a coordinator, and your coordinator is not really gonna be doing much.
No,
that's what I'm starting to see.
No, they there's a perception of it, but I mean, at the end of the day, the coordinator.
Oh, it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's not a perception. It's happened.
Yeah, because I've done it myself, and at the end of the day, the coordinator takes all the responsibility. The customer service part of it takes half of your day, the emails, ordering the supplies, helping organize the schedule, because it's a work in progress. I mean, year to year, you have to take some programming, make some adjustments, and it takes a lot of time. Rec desk, all the software we're using now, and it's 2 people to run an entire recreation division. It's not a whole lot. Even double 4. I mean, right now they're doing it over there in San Luis. For just an example, it's 4 full-time and a part-timer, and it's here we're doing about 80% of the work. So it's a good example. Yuma, it's a whole nother structure. Everything's divided into branches and programs, youth, adults. So it's a different system that it's not a good reference for us. Honestly, it's not. But I mean, it's a proposal I bring forward, and it's gonna be a good situation for us to move forward and start restructuring the department. Not that it's not a structure, but it needs help, and it's gonna be a lot of help for the entire department, especially for parks, because parks can be doing rec and facilities and special events and other duties, and it'll get to the point where they'll break up, and I don't see them lasting a lot longer. And get those candidates and people like that who are that committed, it's going to be very hard.
You know, I agree with pretty much everything you're saying. It's I mean, everything that the help that we can need to fulfill the needs of the community, especially, you know, young kids, you know, with sports, stuff like that. And I understand that we have done it with one person, but it's hard, and it's, it gets building up, and now that we have this, you know, trying to create this new league, soccer league, so there's more coming up, and, I mean, whatever it takes to have and fulfill the necessity that the residents need, especially in sports.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm all good for it, you know, that we can.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again, you know, I'm willing to give you the tools to succeed.
Yeah.
And, but it is something that you are selling, and we are, or at least myself, I'm gonna keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Because, I just don't wanna have just another position, create another position, and then have a position where essentially one individual is not gonna be doing anything. You know, we haven't mentioned fundraising.
Yeah.
You know, is your coordinator gonna do fundraising? That was a big thing too. You know, are they gonna look for sponsors to bring the cost down for our rec leagues?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, that I believe the coordinator can be useful.
Yeah.
So again, you know, I'll be supportive, and I'll see, time will tell, you know, whether this idea and this proposal that you're giving us is successful, and we might have to revisit it down the road. You never know.
I don't know if Councilman Galindo mentioned, you know, adding some additional, I know with the pay that you're offering, but at least for the coordinators to have some type of specialized training as far as the leagues, you know, softball, because that's been an issue in the past where you ask the coordinator and they don't even know the rules for that specific league. So we're looking at the description, and it doesn't include any, you know, it just says high school diploma and experience, but maybe elaborate a little bit more on.
Yeah, 2 years of experience is normal for a coordinator.
Yeah, it's here, it says 3, but it's the one from San Luis, but also, you know, qualification like certification for umpire, you know, something like that, or CPR, they're working with kids, you know, you know, I would like to see that kind of certification, not just high school diploma, 43,000, if I was 18, 40, that's a lot of money for me.
Yeah.
But we need, you know, qualified candidates, not just because high school diploma, you know, I need them to have certifications. I would like to see that, because then will be the problem for the sports, you know, something like that.
Yeah, and 43 is including the medical costs and all that the city allocates. So there's not with their it's not their take home salary.
I would like to you know, just kind of to piggyback on that comment, you know, with the 43,000, I mean, I understand that's with the benefits and everything included. But I think just for us to only require the high school, I'm kind of having a hard time with that, because I think that's kind of that's a lot of money for someone just with the high school. I mean, if we look at you know, our neighboring, you know, they have that bachelor's, or they have, you know, so I would like to kind of see that. I mean,
I understand where you're coming from.
Or at least an associate's, just, you know.
Actually,
I actually did benchmark the city of Yuma. In that particular job, the coordinator position for the city of Yuma requires a high school diploma, not an associate's or bachelor's. So, the supervisor position, that was at a higher level. But not the coordinator position.
So why is the coordinator's position paying more than?
What's the number that you're looking at is with benefits added on it. But did you give them the one just with the salary?
$15.
Yes, $15.
27,000.
27,000 is take home. So it's not
the
even.
Salary, the salary is like around 27,000 if I remember correctly.
So we went from 43 to 27?
43 is including benefits.
The benefits of medical.
What Serena did from finance, what they did is in order to budget the total cost of the position, they took the salary plus the benefits and everything else that's associated with the full-time position. So they added all the additional costs. That's why it comes up to like 43,000. But that's not a salary.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So that might have been misleading.
Yeah, that's what the special would make an hour, which is not even 30, it's like 27, yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So, second.
A motion by Councilman Villalpando and a second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to number 7, consideration and possible adoption of the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvements plan.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, last month, the council directed staff to explore ways for the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvements plan to be modified to potentially lower the resulting impact fees to finance those planned improvements. The city's consultant was looking at that plan, and we just got it in maybe 90 minutes before tonight's meeting, so no one's had a chance to review it. Of course, council has not seen it. So we will be scheduling a special meeting in the coming weeks, very possibly Tuesday, October 29th. So check your calendars, and of course, Deputy Clerk Valenzuela will be contacting you to firm that up. This would need to be adopted before November 2nd, so that's why special meeting. So the council at this time is asked to table this item until we do look over that, what we received today from the consultant, and of course get it to you for your review prior to any kind of special meeting.
Thank you. So, moving on to number 8, discussion and possible approval to
Motion
author.
to
Do we need a
motion
motion?
to table the item.
Yes, we did. Motion on. Motion to table this item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Villalpando, second by Councilman Castillo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Table it. Discussion and possible approval to authorize the mayor to sign a letter to the director of the U.S. Census Bureau expressing concerns on the Bureau's outreach efforts.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, this letter expresses serious concerns about the Census Bureau's current plans for outreach and enumeration that could have a negative impact on properly counting Somerton's residents. The recommended action is to authorize the mayor to sign this letter.
Anybody have any questions? Just a little background, this was in what I had mentioned on previous meetings that Carmen and I have attended where people that have PO boxes will be greatly affected with the counting efforts, so just wanted to put it out there. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Gonzalez, second by Councilman Castillo. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And summary of current events.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, I received our contracted analysts' report on their review of the proposals the city has received to retrofit our solar installations to improve performance. The review provided an in-depth analysis of each of the 2 proposals to verify the company's projections. It's possible we'll have a work session in November to review these findings, and the analyst would join us by phone from New York for that. We'll be looking to have another work session in the next few weeks with J2 Engineering and Design. It was originally scheduled for tonight. The mayor, due to his absence, asked that that be postponed, and that is to review the draft Parks and Recreation Open Space Master Plan to get council input before the plan is finalized and sent back to you as council for adoption. Representatives from J2 would be here to facilitate that not an open house, a work session. And as I mentioned in my weekly report, Deputy Clerk Valenzuela and I have been checking out potential new agenda software that is cloud-based and cross-platform to potentially replace our somewhat dated current software. Any change, however, would have to be budget neutral. We are also looking at options to provide streaming audio and video of our council meetings. This video would be available both live and stored on our website for viewing anytime. And finally, just a quick note, I have to tell you, it's only been a couple of days, but having Mr. Lozano, full-time city attorney, chief personnel officer, there's already, I'm not making this up, there's already been benefit to having him here, both from creating efficiencies, but also a risk management standpoint. So welcome aboard, sir. Nice to have you on board. And, what you want to say? No? Okay. Sam? Report.
It's all confidential.
That's true.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As you know, the annual cleanup is moving forward. As far as today, we don't receive any major complaints. We completed area number 1, 2, and 3, which is on the north side, and 2 more we're gonna complete area number 4. Also, I requested bids proposal for the OptiPave seal once again. Our plan is to seal by itself phases 1 and 2, and continue with this seal after the spring. So basically do both programs, the fall and the spring, with this type of seal. Also, our contractor for the sewer force main continue working on the project, the 12-inch sewer force main. As far as today, we basically completed laying most of all the pipe along Garvin. This week, we're gonna connect the new force main to the existing 16-inch force main up to the wastewater treatment plant. And next week, we're gonna connect make the connection on Somerton Avenue. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just an update, as I mentioned before, the mayor of Rocky Point, Puerto Peñasco, is expecting to be here on November. We don't know the date yet, but he wants to do a tour in Somerton, San Luis, and Yuma. And as you know, the Somerton is a sister city for Puerto Peñasco. So he would like to come over and visit one more time to the city, and he has some kind of new information about the new tourism going on in Puerto Peñasco, with the new trips coming, big ships coming to Puerto Peñasco. So that his intent is to come over and sell the tourism for his town, and also get to know more people, Yuma, Somerton, and San Luis. I don't know the date yet, but from FONID, the binational program, is coordinating the visit. And so far, we have a meeting with the group, and we're expecting at least to have a lunch in Somerton as a group. And then the tour is going to continue to Yuma and also to the border, to the port of entry. I'll let you know in the near future and the actual date and time. An update of the facade improvement program. As you know, we have this program approved, but also right now we're working with the business owners and also the businesses. Last week we have the meeting, and we provided information to some of the businesses that attended, and 3 of them so far they're got the application. I'm just expecting for them to submit the application. And based on that, we're gonna start rolling this program to improve the facades of some buildings. Cafe Ton, he wants to do a new sign. They show us an example, and it's looking really nice. In our painting, the house on Main Street, there used to be, I think, the Heredia's house, was sold last week. A young couple, Border Patrol agents, custom agents, they bought the property, and their intent is to remodel it and try to find a business to lease in it. And they also would like to apply for these facade improvements to at least make a change on the facades. If it's something, a business coming there, at least we can assist them with the sign or the painting of the building. So that's the update. I'm gonna continue working with the businesses, but hopefully something we're able to help them with this
money that we have in the funding. Another update, we have a meeting next Thursday to meet with the attorney representing Mr. Oropesa, La Mesa, the firm company, and also Mr. Salcido to extend his the water line also to the warehouse, the 50,000 square feet warehouse that he's proposing. So this Thursday we're gonna meet the Oropesa, Barry Olson, the lawyer representing them, and the Salcido, so we can coordinate with the contractor. Supposedly the contractor is going to start the water line extension within 3 weeks. So we're going to be able to be on the same page, and if he has any questions or issues, we need to be able to solve it this week instead of after the construction of the line. So that's going to be this week. Also, I'm working with a company from Mexicali. His name is Baja Metal Group. What they do a metal construction and parts for agriculture companies, and they're investigating the possibility of coming into this area. I want to meet with them on October 25th to discuss the idea and to find a location in Somerton area, and there can be manufacturing employment for this area. And the issue right now is that they are not a U.S. company. So I'm gonna find a ways to how we can assist them to create a LLC in the U.S. So for them to be able to come in and provide those kind of services, also to create employment in this area. The other one that I'm working on right now, as you know, Sunset Community is proposing a new building on the west side city property. It was supposed to be on the agenda for tonight, but it was moved to the next council meeting on November 5th. They're proposing a 20,000 square feet building, 7.2 million investment. They offering to buy the 5 acres in the city, 100,000 an acre, 500,000 their proposal. And the site plan and the building was pretty nice. One of the concerns or issues, because it's a non-profit, of course, but the benefits to the city is also bringing employment and create an activity, economic development on the west side to generate a little more movement, revenue to the city. And McDonald's is also looking into the same area. McDonald's supposed to come this week, but due to family illness of the director of real estate from McDonald's, wasn't able to make it, but he's still very interested, so they're looking into the west side too. It's going to be next to this proposed building. We still have another 7 acres for the city to sell, and trying to find a little more revenues. Those kind of monies can be used for the park. As you know, we're still looking for money to be able to fund the park. It could be up to $700,000 to $1 million if we're able to sell that land. Thank you.
That's his summary. Vice Mayor and council members, we are working on 3 major projects as of right now. We have the 2020 general plan update. These are projects that require a lot of behind-the-scenes work before it gets moving to the actual public outreach. As you already approved the plan this morning, tonight. This is one of the steps in the process of the 2020 general plan update. We also have the Census 2020. It's another big operation that we are working right now, and we are planning to be present at the special events coming up on November 9th with the Corn Fest and then the Tamale Fest, and then we're going to move on to the beginning of the year. We are really working with the Somerton Complete Count Committee, which is comprised of all the agencies and the city of Somerton as well. We have a meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. With the committee. The other major project that we have is the infill incentive overlay district. This is something that we have been working on for the past year and a half in conjunction with the economic development. We have finalized the first draft, and it has been delivered to the department heads. So we are asking for them to review it and give us their comments before we schedule or we request a work session time with council and hopefully the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. We would like for you to review this plan, this project that we have been together working together, and hopefully if it's something that you would like to see, we can move into the adoption phase of that. So in other items, we had a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last night, working on a rezoning case of the item that Hector just mentioned up on the mesa, moving Salcido. Mr. Salcido is trying to build a distribution center up on the mesa that requires a rezoning. We are working the zoning portion of it, and it'll be presented to you at the next council meeting. We also are working with another rezoning case in the same area. This is a separate case, so this is going to be brought to you later on. Other than that, we have Valle del Sol, the last one, Valle del Sol Phase 3. The improvement plans have been already approved, and they're getting ready to initiate construction of the subdivision improvements. So we're moving forward with that one as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Mayor and Council. You probably noticed that some of our patrol officers driving around with a purple fish shape. It's I believe I sent you an email on the awareness campaign that the governor is posting out for. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready. I was expecting for Jesus to walk up here before me. So he is bringing awareness to domestic violence. So we have those magnets to our car, and then you've noticed that our police department has a couple purple lights. They're not as bright as a water tower, but we tried our best as we could, and other cities are doing it as well. And you'll probably see it up in the Capitol webpage. You'll see that the governor is going to be posting our police department out there, saying that we're one of the agencies that is with him on this movement. You'll also see for the 24th of this month will be our entire staff, probably not our officers because they have to wear the uniform, but our entire staff will be wearing purple shirts. And I told you, and I was going to send you that email. I'll send it to you tomorrow so you can share it with everybody else. On the 24th, we'll be wearing purple shirts for the same thing. And then one more thing that we're working on is we're working on the, and I've had Mr. Mesa assist me with this, is reminding all our drivers that our pathways, our bicycle lanes need to be clear. One of the things that I've noticed is sometimes in the afternoons when we have the soccer games over at the council park, we have a lot of the drivers parked on where the bicycle lanes are at. And in order for us to promote safety of the children, younger children that are riding bicycles at perfect, beautiful weather that we have right now, is to keep those paths clear. So one of the things that I've asked the officers to do is to stop their vehicles behind them, behind whoever's parked there, to make sure that they give them enough time to run from the soccer field to their cars so they can move the cars. Now, in the event that we don't have anyone responding, then we'll go ahead and put a sticker that's going to make people very upset, but we're going to try to make an effort to allow them enough time to come to their cars so they can move it. There's plenty of parking space in the residential areas, at the middle school, at the library, so there shouldn't be a need to park in the bicycle lane. So that's one thing that you'll see. And the other thing is our adult academy that we were supposed to have in October is going to be moved to January because we have very, very few applicants that have put in for it. So we're going to move it to January. We'll give you a better date later on. And during this weekend's event, the mayor's bicycle run that is happening, we will be having 2 of our officers participate in it. So you'll see them from all the way from the Civic Center all the way, not to Mexico, all the way up to San Luis, Arizona only. So you'll see that. That's one of our events. So thank you.
Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
How can we, I have brought this issue pretty much every year. How can we slow down the traffic coming in from San Luis to Somerton? we have that digital thing that doesn't work anymore, and we talked, that you and I talked about it many
Yes.
times. What can we do?
One of the things that we're doing, Mr. Gonzalez, is that we reached out, remember I mentioned to you guys that these batteries, we haven't found them anymore, so we haven't been able to replace them immediately. We used to have a traffic trailer that somebody in the past gave it away. So our traffic trailer, you'll see it sitting at the AWC College, perfectly in use, but we didn't spend the money at the time to fix it and make it functional for our city. So I am trying to work with the governor's office, and I've already reached out to them to see if we can get some sort of funding. And they've already guided me as to some of the things I have to do in order for us to get a traffic light. It'll be a small one probably, or depending on what they want to give us, but that's one of the things that I'm working on at this time. Those batteries, I have an officer specifically assigned to be bugging these people to get these batteries. They're going to make them for us. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen soon. The other thing that I've had done is I've had the officers post up at the entrance. Now, remember, we have 2 officers, so it's kind of challenging to do it when we have traffic in the morning for school. Our traffic from school runs from 8 in the morning till about 8:35. So, I'm sorry, 7:30 to about 8:35. One of the things that we focus on in the morning hours with the 2 officers that we have is, one of our challenges is the Tierra del Sol school, which brings a lot of traffic from south, and we want to really have that traffic slow down. So we have them focus on that area, and then we have another officer focus at the Desert Sonora school, which is another problem area because of the T intersection that we have. Our better school is going to be the middle school, which we still have an officer out there for the same reason that everybody's running late to work and they're speeding through that area. So that's our main focus. Our shift changes at 6 in the morning, so it makes it a little bit challenging to have an officer there because they have to do their pass down and they have to empty out everything from their car and get ready to leave for the day. But we have had officers out there on the West City limits sitting on while traffic is coming into town, but we can only do it sporadically, so that's a challenge for us this time. But we are working on it. Thank you.
I have a
Yes.
question. There's, out at Precious Treasures, there's sometimes a white little car that's parked in after the chain, after they close up shop.
Yes.
There's a little white car. I'm just concerned that sometimes it's too, it's sticking out too much.
And Ms. Garcia, that's the person that's closing for the day, so I'll take care.
And I'm just, just to make sure that it
It doesn't get hit by a car.
stop me.
Thank you.
Mayor and council, fall's here, so we're getting more car accidents, is obvious, and we expect more into the winter. I met with Cesar Navoy, and he did a interview with me regarding farm machinery and how that causes accidents. And he asked me a question that has to do with what Chief Juarez was talking about right now. He asked how much outreach us and the police have done to the news organizations and to the public to make them more conscious of their driving habits. Because in the interview, he asked me what the main reason was for the accident. I said, well, number one is it's a change in the way people think. Everybody's in a hurry now, and they're thinking about themselves. I said, so you have a lot of people were never raised in farm country, but now they live here in this area, and they see a piece of farm machinery moving slow, and to them, that's in their way. And the expression that I mentioned to him in Spanish, translated in English, is, I told him, you have outsiders that are in someone else's home demanding things, because it's farm country, and those roads are primarily built and were designed to move the farm machinery around. And so we need to get that message out to the public that if they don't like going around farm machinery, they need to stick on Highway 95. And so the fire department's going to be approaching that issue through the media and trying to find a way to reach the public. Other than that, we have 4 people missing from our department right now that due to losses in employees. We'll be interviewing 5 people this Monday.
Well, good night already. This is Mesa Parks and Rec Director. Basically, in front of you it's a conceptual design of the piece of art. We're working with the Art Center from Yuma and the Yuma cultural center. And it's a conceptual, it's not a set in stone. The picture you see on the billboard, it's basically of a piece they did in San Luis. It's not gonna be that. They're looking into some possible designs that include a tower, something more symbolic, the valley, something nicer, and the size is not gonna be as big. So the structure that you see in the ends are gonna be, they don't have to be as solid or as bulky, and it's only a 4x8. So take that into consideration. It's not very big. The height, it's 4 feet, and 8 feet is, it's about here to the end of the chair, so it's not gonna be too big. And we can show the conceptuals, the design, see if we have any input, so we can move forward with the design, because it's about a few weeks away. It's supposed to be ready by the Corn Fest, right? So we need, if things go right, be ready by that date, so the people can actually see it and admire that piece of work, which is, it's gonna be the first, the mural we've done in a while, and hopefully do more in the near future with the co-op from Yuma and all the organizations that are part of it. Question? No?
If I may add, Mr. Meza,
Yes.
so this thing is, it's community art.
Yep.
So there's 32, 4x8's 32 1-foot squares. Maybe you're familiar with this, Mr.
My wife is involved in that. I want to say this right. The east end of the Foothills Library, as you come in on I-8, you can see a picture of a big building with that sort of stuff. So my wife got to do a couple of those squares. It was exhilarating, a lot of fun, a lot of great community involvement. People really enjoyed it. It really brought people together.
Yep.
So the artists, the participants don't really know what the finished thing is going to look like. They do their little square, and then over the course of the day, as I understand it, it starts to become visible, kind of like a Wheel of Fortune puzzle, right? You start to figure out what it's going to be. And so yeah, it's pretty cool. I've done it in Yuma, San Luis, and so this will be the first one in Somerton, and would happen during the Corn Fest.
So is this gonna be in the, like right in the corner here, this same place?
Yeah, just here in front of St. Ignaty Park.
The only thing I mean, this is just me, is this gonna be like 4x8?
Yes.
You know, we're right there, right, almost close to the pedestrian sign. If people are driving and pay attention to the art right there, and they don't even look at who's coming in when they're walking in the pedestrian, that would be the only issue, because they're gonna be focusing so much on the art.
Yep.
That, you know, we have a pedestrian crosswalk in there. So that would be my only thing that, you know, of course I will look at it and just turn around and go back, but sometimes if it's so impressive, I want to just continue looking at it, and who knows, there's might be people in the crosswalk.
Yeah, that we could look into that. If that becomes an issue, just replace it or relocate it, and yep.
People don't even stop for the pedestrians. I don't think so. They're good. People don't stop for pedestrians.
And just taking into consideration that it's not gonna be too tall. It's gonna be 4 feet, so it's not gonna be taller than the stop sign. So, and that's one. And another, for November 8th, we confirmed the baseball extravaganza event. It's gonna be a recreational event for the whole family. Free clinics, an association from Sueño Dorado Baseball Academy, ran by a professional, and his father. It's a family academy. They're all for it. They're interested in coming down to Somerton and being part of the programming, like a cultural center type of activity where they pay the city and they do their own. And they're going to support it, bring some special guests, ex-pros, do some motivational speaking, and we're hoping to get some sponsorships for some food, some hot dogs. And at the end, we're working on an exhibition between them. We're hoping it's going to be San Francisco versus San Luis, Mexico, because there's going to be a foundation involved. It's called Baseball Without Borders. Their president, or one of their chairs, is Juan Bustillos. He confirmed that they're going to donate thousands of dollars worth of equipment, of baseball equipment, to the city. And we're going to be able to check in and check out for the people in need. So that's support and promote baseball. All across the world, they have a lot of donations. They've been all over the place, so you can check them out at Facebook. It's BWW, Baseball Without Borders. And he confirmed the flights and everything, so the donation is confirmed. And he wanted the day before the Corn Fest, so hopefully be here for the Corn Fest. If the Corn Fest committee wants to do some promotion and tag along, that's gonna be a good family environment there. On the 8th, it's gonna be a Friday from like 6 to 9 or 10. And the culture center renovation, part of the revitalization of that facility, it ended on Monday. Mostly last week. They came back on Monday, finished the bathroom. So if you had a chance, go by. It looks pretty nice. It did all the outside and the inside interior painting, and we're working on the mirrors for the dance classes and all that. Have a proper mirror for the steps and all that, and a proper installation for safety. And we're looking into the safety concerns of that building. Have everything in compliance. And we started working on the program for Greater Day scheduled for the 29th, and that's going to be hopefully a good one. We'll bring some proposals later, but we already started working on that. And of course, all the other events are basically ready, like the Halloween. We have the bike event this Saturday, which Angelica is going to be there, Vanessa, and the youth council, and that's about it for right now. Yeah, we can talk to the logistics there.
And that's it, Madam Vice Mayor. Zarina had to leave for a family matter, so back to you.
I just want to say something for the record. I am not, and I will never be against any helping any non-profit organizations whatsoever, and even non-profit organizations, with city equipment or city funding. I'm glad that we finalized the new form that's going to be black and white. And the reason I'm bringing this up because there has been concerns, not concerns, but it has been brought to my attention by some of my fellow council members as well as members of the community that, I always speak out about, helping non-profit organizations, especially with city funding. All I do is just, I address voice because it's taxpayers' money, and I'm the only one that speaks out pretty much when it comes to giving out money for and like I say, I'm not against it. It's just that the perception that they have, and I noticed that, and I already talked to some of our fellow council members about it. The perception that they had is that I'm raising the voice of giving out money away because of my son business, and that only reason I raise concerns or I raise my voice based on the fact that he owns an entertainment business. And I just want to say my son doesn't put food on the table in wasn't even a year. And so if I hurt any of you, I apologize if I made any comments that and even people that are sitting in the audience right now that make you feel that uncomfortable with me asking some questions about how we help out these nonprofit organizations. I think with this new form that we just approved, it's going to be black and white. It's going to solve a lot of headaches. But again, my apologies for my fellow council members if I say something, and I know that some of you have pulled my ears and say, cut it out, stop. Every year is the same thing. But again, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm doing it because my son didn't get so-and-so gig or event. Like I say, my son has his own business. It depends on a lot of other things based just on one event a year, and he doesn't put foot on his table with just one event. And I just want to, express that concern, not concern, but I just want to bring it up.
I just wanted to recognize, I like what you're doing with, or I don't know if it's you, but somebody within the fire department is years of service for your staff, congratulating. It's been more on social media, and I really praise you for that. I think, like I mentioned in our retreat, we should all, those little thank you, those little reminders make a lot of difference within staff.
So Cheryl McDonald, our building specialist, is doing that.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. And that's it. Anybody else have anything else? If not, do I have a motion?
Say adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.